What's up? So today I'm going to show you how to make one of these little decorative foam pumpkins into a rotten pumpkin. Now you could use this to make a rotten pumpkin patch or some rotten jack-o'-lanterns for your doorstep, or like me in this video, I'm using this as the head of my pumpkin creature. Let's do it. Couple items you're gonna need is stretch or saran wrap, spray foam. I swear this stuff is the greatest stuff like ever, seriously. A pumpkin, duh. A hanger wire, aluminum foil, and liquid latex. Now, if you're doing a rotten pumpkin patch, just the pumpkins, you can skip this part, but if you're doing the rotten jack-o'-lanterns or creatures' heads like I am, good place to start is with a pencil. I prefer a pencil because if you get the size wrong or the eyes are lopsided, I mean, if you want it that way, cool. But it's easier to fix when it's in pencil. Once you got the face where you want it, an X-Acto knife cuts into the foam really easy. You could also use a hot knife, but be careful with the hot knife, because the foam will want to start doing what we're going to do to it later, a little earlier than we want. I'll show you with the hot knife. Just gonna melt that foam away. I love these hot knives, man. But also for starting out a new part. Once you get everything carved out, the hot knife is definitely good for making it much deeper. We've gone pretty deep, as you can see, up to my knuckle here. I'm still working on that part. But it will be up to my knuckle as soon as I melt all this out of the way. The next thing, I want to make this stem a little bigger, because this little teeny tiny stem that this thing comes with is just not going to cut it. So that I'm going to take, you could either take a drill, or I'm just going to use the hot knife since it's already warmed up. And we are going to extend it with some of the hanger wire. So we're going to build that up with the tin foil. So we're going to want it thicker at the bottom, and as we get up closer to the top, we're going to want to thin it out. Next, we're going to take some shrink wrap or saran wrap, and we're going to cover the whole thing. Now we're going to take a heat gun, make that plastic permanent. And we're going to get all of this plastic just burned right back off of his eyes, nose, and mouth. Now the plastic does help control the heat a little bit. We want to give it some starting to rot look, but we don't want to really melt the whole damn thing here. So you get in real close here. You can see we've got a lot of nice smooth lines. Get that. As the styrofoam starts to heat up, it starts to bubble up. And these bubbles are the beginning of the pumpkin going rotten, which is exactly what we want, without burning completely through. And as we slowly do the heat gun all the way around, make sure, I got it nice and tight up here, but I'm going to make sure this plastic comes back off of his mouth and nose and eyes. Real good way to make sure that's going to happen is to make the plastic have some weak spots. I'm going along the plastic on each and every single one of these seams and just letting the plastic burst right through the seam, so we still have all the features of a pumpkin. So it's going to be very stringy and very webby. And if you have a couple that just stay connected like this, cool. Be careful on the face. You do want to start heating this up a little bit, making it kind of sag and get kind of sad looking, but not too much. Not on this one anyways, because he's going to be the head of our creature, so we don't want it to sag so much that it's just going to fall off. Kind of work his eyes. The heat blowing inside melts all the rest of the stuff, and it's very, very smooth in there now. I don't know if I could actually zoom in close enough, but you'll get the idea. You'll just see it start to kind of boil and buckle, crinkle up. And that is exactly what we want. Alright, now I've got the plastic all nice and tight. I've got the eyes, the nose, and the mouth reopened. And the mouth has some extra fun little grody things that'll be awesome once it's painted. And I'm going to reinforce all this with the liquid latex. This will just help make sure it sticks and stays on there. This will dry clear. It's going to go on white, but it will dry clear. And it will strengthen up all of this stuff. I'm going to do this all over. I am going to pay some special attention to some of these that have gone across the mouth here. Make sure those get some of that latex so that they stay nice and strong, because we want them to stay there. You don't have to glob it on too thick on the pumpkin, but on the stem, go for it, because we want to make that thing stay put. As I'm letting this dry, I'm just blasting the face with a little bit more heat here. Really kind of working more on the eyes and the nose and the mouth area, because that is the part of the pumpkin, especially a jack-o'-lantern, that really starts to rot. So this part here, I don't want to touch that anymore, because this part here is actually starting to sink in, and it's at a perfect point right now, so don't overdo it. You can see up on his eyes, it's just getting kind of like the pumpkin, it just starts kind of folding in on itself. So now that is mostly dry. It's still a little bit wet, but it's not going to hurt it too much. We're going to add some of the foam to the stem, and a lot of pumpkins and gourds have, I don't know, what do you want to call them, warts, just grody little spots on them. In fact, the wartier the pumpkin, the cooler it is. Just going to kind of throw this foam all over the place. Now up here where the stem starts to connect, we're really actually going to thicken this up around here. And we kind of just want to go up the stem, or down, doesn't really matter, but vertically. And this is going to start giving it a lot of texture. Now this foam will expand, so be careful not to really overdo it too much, but we can go ahead and throw on quite a bit around this stem, because I really want this stem to just kind of look like it's just throwing off some rot and growtiness. I'm going to build it up kind of thick here. Make that stem a permanent part of this pumpkin. And now I'm going to let it completely dry overnight. Like I said, the foam will expand a little bit. It's going to change a little bit. But it's going to look really, really cool when it's done. Alright, he's completely dry. I'm going to take just a minute here to kind of just carve and clean up the stem. Just a little. We want most of this gunk to stay put, but some of it I'm going to kind of clean up so that you can see the veins of the stem a little clearer. Just any spot you think might need a little touch-up. Alright, so not a whole lot of it needed adjusting, just a couple little spots I thought might be cool. So now we're going to paint it. And of course, like most everything, we're going to start off by painting the entire thing black. Now while it's still wet, I'm actually going to just dab some of the black back off. We'll give it another coat, but we're going to let that orange kind of bleed through a little bit. And we'll reinforce the orange wherever we need to later. Dab it off his face a little. Now up around the stem especially, check for spots that did not get hit with the paint and go back and hit those with the black. Alright, so next I have this little sponge. These things are really good for doing Halloween makeup or doing Halloween makeup on that thing. So I'm going to take white and we're just going to barely dab it in there. We don't want it soaking wet. And anywhere that you think moss or fungus is going to appear on this rotten pumpkin, we're going to dab it on. So I think all around the mouth, and the eyes, all the openings. Some of the first spots that moss is probably going to want to show up. Fungus or whatever is infecting this pumpkin. Don't be shy with it. If you feel like it's too much anywhere, just cover it back up. It's white, it's easy to cover. Now I'm going to take a cotton ball, just kind of shred it up. Just get it to stick to some of the wet paint areas. Give it that mossy, I really don't know what that hairy stuff is that grows on pumpkins, but that's what this is. Just kind of put it in the openings and put it wherever you think this grody hair stuff grows. And if the paint is too dry, then spray glue also really helps to get this stuff to stick. I'm going to take some tan spray and do a real quick, light spray over the top of everything here. I don't want to really cover up the black, I just want this to kind of speckle onto the black, if that makes sense. This is going to bring back a little bit of the orange. Now we're going to take some tan and keep it as dry brush style as possible and hit the topmost layer of the stem. So you don't want to hit down into all the dark, just start highlighting the very top of everything on the stem. We're also going to hit all the just top level of this stuff all around the stem. Get it on the tops of these little warty thingies. We're just going to start bringing out some of the details. These are really starting to look nasty. Now, just like on the creature's arms, which I'll include the video, we are going to use, it's a leather stain. And it's a tan color. It really starts to give it some colors, and when it dries, the oranges and browns just look really, really rotten. And I'm actually focusing more at the top and just kind of streaking down, not necessarily going all the way to the bottom. And we're going to go right up into the stem. Again, just kind of over the top of everything. Well, it's still wet. Just do a quick dab over the whole entire thing. And it automatically just highlights. But I actually want to bring out the moss around his face a little bit more, so I mixed a little bit of green in with the white, and I actually took a little bit of that tan and stuck it in the green as well. Now we're going to take the sponge again. We're just going to bring that moss right back out. But only around the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. Everywhere else it still popped out here and there. But we're just reinforcing it here on the mouth, and the eyes, and the nose, on the face. Now the final color I'm going to use is an avocado green. And this is the best representation of the color of mold, especially when it's applied on top of these browns and all the colors that we've already used. I'm going to use this mostly on the spots where the plastic is stretched out, so it gives it a moldy, just swampy kind of look. So with the brush almost completely dry, just a tad bit of that avocado, it'll actually bring those colors out. And where the plastic strings, after working a bit with the mold, the colors and the fur, you've got your rotten Pumpkin King head. And remember, after Halloween is over, all you have to do with this little guy is turn him around and he's a perfect fall Thanksgiving type of decoration. That's gonna do it for the pumpkin creature's head. Be sure to check out some of my other videos for some other fun builds, including the rest of this guy. Till then, keep it spooky, my crazy friends.